That. Okay, amazing. Well, thank you everybody for being here. My name is Nina, and I work in the Tulane Alumni Career and Professional Development Office. And I just want to mention like a few quick housekeeping things before I hand things off to Pamela. So please introduce yourselves in the chat and let us know your grad year and where you're joining from. We love to see all that different data and info. It's very fun for us to look at. So this session is being recorded, like I mentioned before, and it will be uploaded to our YouTube channel. And I will drop the link for our YouTube channel in the chat in just a second. We have over 80 past sessions recorded there, and Pamela actually has some from the past as well, so you can watch all of those. But yeah, if you'd like to be like notified when new recordings come out, you can subscribe to our channel, which would be great. But today's session is about marketing yourself after a career break. And we have Pamela Weinberg leading us in today's session. And I'm super excited to learn more about this topic. If you guys have any questions throughout, you can put them in the chat or you can just message me directly and we'll circle back to them at the end. And I think that's about everything. I'll be all things tech, so I'll just kind of be like admitting people as they come in and out. If you have any issues, you can just directly message me. But yeah, thank you again for being here. And Pamela, I'm going to hand things off to you. Go
Okay,
Knicks,
hi.
and thanks
Yes,
everyone.
thank you. Okay. I do see another New Yorker on here, so that was exciting. And I'm looking at your all of you in the chat and welcome. And I'm so happy you're here. And I did create this presentation with Nina, who had a great suggestion for what she thought would be great for Tulane alums at this point. So this is a new one for me too. So I'm really, really excited to share a lot of information with you. I'll tell you a little bit about me. I am a career coach, and I do a lot with helping people build their personal brands, which I'm going to be talking about today as part of my presentation. I sadly am not a Tulane alum, but I'm the proud parent of a Tulane alum class of 2019. So that got me really, really involved with the school. And as Nina mentioned, I've spoken a lot in professional development, in undergrad career services, and I also am honored to be actually on the Tulane website as one of their featured career coaches. So if anyone is interested in chatting with me about that at any point, you feel free to reach out, and you'll have all my contact information here as well. So let's get started. So I want to start actually with a poll because I always, you all get to learn about me and I don't unfortunately get to learn as much about you. So the poll will help me to have a better understanding of who I'm actually speaking with today and what best describes your current situation so that I can hopefully gear my talk to what people are most interested in learning about. So Nina, if you can launch the poll, please, on what best describes your current situation.
Did that launch? Can everybody see it? Yeah. Okay, cool. Just checking. Awesome. Okay. Great. Okay. I'm going to end the poll. And then Pamela, can you see the
I
results?
can. Yes, I
Okay.
can. So
Perfect.
thank you. Thank you all for completing the poll. For those of you who have been in layoffs recently, I'm very sorry to hear that. And, unfortunately, you're in good company. My business is booming for people who've been laid off, unfortunately. And it's definitely, definitely a tough climate, but I do see hope, and I am hopeful that after spending some time with me today, you'll all, no matter if you're, layoff or pivot or just looking for a new job, you'll walk away with some actionable tips to get you going in a good and new direction. So let's talk about what we're going to talk about today. So this is on the agenda today. We're going to talk about career reentry mindset. Super important to have a positive mindset. And I know looking for a job can be extremely lonely and isolating. So I hope that I'm going to give you some tips today to keep you positive when you're going through this. Personal branding, as I mentioned, which is a favorite of mine and something that's also key to being able to talk about yourself for job interviews and networking. AI tools for job seekers can't really get a job these days without knowing a bit about AI. So I'm going to give you some basics on how to have AI work for you in your job search. Networking strategies. 80 to 85% of jobs are gotten through people who we know or who know us. So networking is the number one most important tool in your toolbox for looking for a job. And we're going to talk about that today as well. Talk about some interview prep, and then finally help you all create a 90-day action plan to kickstart your or re-energize your search. Okay, so here are some common challenges for those folks who are looking for jobs, who've maybe been out of the workplace for a little while, or are thinking about a pivot or finding a new type of a job or going on interviews. So lack of confidence is really, really common in the job search process. And why do we have a lack of confidence? Well, first off, if you're laid off, it never feels good. Even if you're part of a team of people who were laid off, it hurts. I think everyone has gone through or will go through, unfortunately, a layoff at some point in their careers, and it stinks, but sometimes it's really the best thing that can happen because it does give you an opportunity to really take the time to think about what it is you'd want to do next. And gaining confidence to do so is something that we're going to talk about today. Like what can you do while you're not working to gain more skills, which will ultimately give you more confidence. Explaining employment gaps. How do you talk about an employment gap in a job interview? We're going to discuss that as well. That's something that's makes people hesitant to even. I've had clients who are afraid to do networking calls because they don't know how to explain the fact that they've been out of a job for 6 months or a year for a variety of reasons, health issues, taking care of a sick relative, or just having a hard time getting a new job. So explaining those gaps is something that I like to discuss, and I'll give you some language around that for when we talk about our interview skills. Technology changes. This is a huge one, and all you hear about is AI, AI, AI. And, if you were in the workplace 2 years ago, it's a completely different landscape with technology. I know from a lot of my clients who are employed, their companies are really watching the amount of AI that they use and are very much encouraging them to find systems on AI to make their jobs more efficient. So, it's really important to at least know the basics or more than the basics. And if you have time and you go through a layoff and you're doing a pivot and you have time on your hands to take a class or even learn via YouTube, there are a lot of free ways to learn about how to utilize AI in different careers. I would definitely say that would be a number one thing I'd be working on right now if I had some free time. Networking after time away. How do you get on the phone with someone or reach out to ask them for a networking call? What do you say? What's the language to use? So we'll talk about that as well, because that can definitely be a barrier. People are hesitant to reach out to people. Oh my gosh, I haven't spoken to them in so long. I feel like I'd be bothering them, and how do I go about doing that? What's the language that I use? So we'll get to that as well. So as I just talked about, sort of the lack of confidence. How are you going to talk about yourself if you're pivoting, if you've had a layoff? You want to really reframe your career story. What have you done, or what can you do in your downtime while you're looking for a job that's going to make you more marketable? How are you going to talk about yourself? So, maybe it's some personal development. Like I said, learning a new skill, whether it's AI, getting more advanced in Excel, learning how to use Canva, depending on what your field is. What would be the most important things for you to be learning that are marketable skills for your next role? Think about that, and that's something that you can definitely talk about in an interview. Yes, I'm currently looking for a role, and while I've been searching, I got certified in XYZ, Google Analytics, whatever it is that's important to you. So it shows that yes, you're not working, but you are still working on yourself. And that would be a way to talk about your gap as well. What you've been doing during your gap, whether it's caregiving for a sick relative, or even taking time off for yourself for an issue that you're having in your life. I always say, make it short and sweet. Yes, I took off 6 months to care for an ailing parent. Um, Thankfully, that issue has been resolved, and digging into a job search in XYZ area. One sentence and out. You don't want to spend a lot of time on the time off. You want to spend time on selling yourself as to why you are right for this job. So make it short and sweet and move on. Volunteer work, super important, and something that can really help you gain experience, even if you're not getting paid for it. Maybe an organization that you work for needs help with their data analytics, and you can volunteer helping them with their data. That's something that absolutely should and can go on a resume. Just because it's a volunteer position doesn't mean that you're not getting and developing transferable skills that can be used for a job. And I also might add, regarding volunteer work, I've had many clients who have taken volunteer positions that have been made into permanent jobs. They get hired. So an organization sort of gets this free look at you and sees what a great job you're doing, and a job opens up and you're tapped for it. It happened to a client of mine who had taken some time off from the workplace to raise her family, was in the art world before that, and had some free time while her kids were a little older, and she volunteered at the Museum of Modern Art here in New York. She was a great volunteer. She was always on time. She went the extra mile. They saw how knowledgeable she was. And sure enough, a job opened up, working with school groups, taking them around the museum and talking to them about exhibits. And she ended up getting hired for the role. Right place, right time, great volunteer. That does happen. So I would definitely urge you to look for some volunteer opportunities. It does many things, gets you out of the house, helps you to network with people who are in your field, a great way to gain additional skills. I talked a bit about education, and this doesn't have to be an expensive master's degree. There are a lot of great certificate programs that you can get that will help you get more, become more seasoned and develop more skills in a field that you're interested in. One of my clients was interested in fundraising, and she went and got certified in a development, certified in development, learned how to do grant writing, learned how to fundraise, and ended up getting a job. And that was a career pivot for her. So, getting additional education is another wonderful tool to help you reframe your career story when you're going about an interviewing. So, if we can take, I would love for everyone to take a minute to write a sentence that you could use explaining your career transition that feels positive and forward looking. As I mentioned earlier in the presentation, a positive mindset is so important to keep your spirits up and confidence high. So, how can you position your transition from something you have to do to something you want to do? So I would love for everyone to take a minute to write a sentence for themselves that they can go back and look at. And if anyone feels comfortable, I would love for you to share it in the chat. So I'm going to give you a minute. Okay, does anyone, I see Charlotte shared in the chat. Would anyone else like to share their one sentence? I love what Charlotte wrote, short and sweet, took 8 months off to attend to a personal health emergency. I am now excited to be looking for work again. One sentence and done, and excited to be looking for work again. And, maybe to Charlotte, I would, add something like, I'm excited to be looking for work again, and these are the three skills that I'm looking forward to bringing to your organization. So, what are the focus of, what are you most excited about bringing to XYZ organization? I think that's great. And I see that there are some questions in the chat, and I will definitely be answering them. Um, Nina's going to collect them for me, and I'm going to be answering them. I will answer them at the end of the session. So hopefully you've written your one sentence, and if you don't want to share, that's totally fine. But just keep it for yourself to look at it when you're, feeling sort of down about your job search. So identifying your value, and this is going to dovetail into building your brand. So when you think about building your personal brand, you want to think about, who are you and what are you all about? So these are sort of some factors to take into account in thinking about yourself. What do you have to offer to an employer? Most important is your transfer. Well, actually, not most important. Most important thing that you can do on an interview um, is be likable. And I know that sounds sort of, you know, simple and simplistic, but people want to hire people who they like. So coming in with that positive attitude and a big smile, and I'm so happy to be here with you today. I've been really looking forward to this interview, can go a really, really long way. I can't stress that enough. that, first impressions really, really matter. So having that smile and that warmth on your initial interaction with an interviewer goes a really long way. After that, I would say your transferable skills are the most important. What are the skills that you have that you can utilize for the role you are interviewing for? So this may AI is great here. I used to have clients sort of print out 6 to 10 job descriptions, take a highlighter, and highlight what the key skills are for those jobs. Now you can sort of have ChatGPT do that for you to let you know what are the 3 most important skills for someone applying for this job. You match that up against your resume and you have a match. You're like, okay, so then these are the 3 skills I'm going to really focus on. Knowing how to communicate with external teams, having a winning sales record, having strong communication skills, whatever those 3 things are. You want to be able to talk about those in your interview. So those are the skills that are going to be most important. Any leadership experience. This could be volunteer leadership experience. This could be leadership experience on a job that you've had. Um, Anything that you can talk about, and that this is more so transferable skills. I look at more as like your hard skills, and leadership experience is more in the soft skill role. How do you interact with others? Why should somebody hire you? Industry knowledge, self-explanatory. What do you know about the industry? What research have you done? So easy now to get industry knowledge and company knowledge. So there's really no excuse to go into an interview unprepared. You should really know a lot about the company that you're interviewing for, know about the interviewer, know what's going on in the industry. Very easy to find that information now through a chat GPT. And relationship building, your ability to build relationships. What would other people say about you? What would your former manager say about you? Your colleagues say about you? Why would you be someone who'd be a good part of their team? These are all ways to identify your value. So once you sort of have all that in mind, your skills, your hard skills, your soft skills, what your value is, this is really going to help you build your brand. So when you're thinking about your brand, you want to make sure that everything you have, all of your messaging reflects your brand. And how do you know what your personal brand is? Because you all already have one. Whether you think you do or you don't, you do. What is your personal brand? All you need to do is Google yourself, because that's what anyone else is going to do who's looking for you. You're applying for a job, someone's going to Google you. What would that person find? Would you be pleased with what they found? Is it, your fabulous LinkedIn profile, your Instagram that has, all the great things about you and your career? Is it a website that you've created? Is it articles that you've been quoted in? You can take some of this power. Maybe you don't like what you see. Maybe there's not enough of what you see, enough there about you that you feel, is going to really move the needle on someone wanting to hire you. It's time for a resume refresh, optimize your LinkedIn profile, having a professional headline on your LinkedIn, which I love. That's such a great way to utilize keywords, is getting a great headline, and having consistent messaging. I think I put my Instagram at the top of the presentation, and you'll see it again later. If you go to my Pamela Weinberg Career Coaching Instagram, you're going to see that it's very branded. My posts all look the same. My picture looks the same. It's the same coloring, the same types of messages directed to the same types of people. It's very consistent. So if you Google me, hopefully the first things that you're going to find about me, if I'm doing this right, is my website, my LinkedIn, and my Instagram. And I would, hope the same for you if you, follow some of this advice today to just do these upgrades for yourself. And AI is going to be very good for you to help you do this. AI will help you tailor your resume. And I'm going to have some prompts after this to show you exactly how to do that. Um, AI can help you draft your cover letters. Um, you should have a format for your cover letter of how you want it to be. What are the three most important things for you to talk about in your cover letter. And then once you've already written the draft, I would put into ChatGPT along with the job description, and that will really help make sure that you have the most salient points in that letter that match up to the keywords in the job description. Because unfortunately, if you're applying for a job, Pamela Weinberg isn't typically the first reader of your resume. The first reader of your resume is going to be an ATS, an applicant tracking system. And what that system is looking for are the key words. So they want you to have the keywords from their job description matching the keywords in your resume, cover letter, or LinkedIn profile. So that's really important to keep in mind. AI has been great for my clients for preparing for interviews. Um, you can use it in so many different ways. As I said, doing company research, putting in questions and getting answers back from AI based upon certain questions that you ask, that they will spit back good answers for you, and also to strengthen your LinkedIn profile. So I have a few simple prompts that I'm going to share with you for doing many of these tasks. You may already do this, but I'm hoping that for some of you, this will be helpful information to help um, cut down on some of the time that it takes to write cover letters and tailor resumes. Because one of the most important things you can do in applying for a job is be early. You don't want to take 3 days to apply for a job, because chances are they won't be accepting applications after that. It's so important to be one of the first applicants. So by using a chat GPT to help you tailor your resume and draft cover letters, it's going to save a ton of time for your applications. Oops. Okay. So here's prompt number one. So tailor my resume for this job description and identify missing keywords. So this is really simple. You're going to upload your job description, upload the job description for the job you're applying to, upload your resume for each role you're applying for with this prompt, and you're good to go. AI will identify missing keywords on your resume that you can and should be using for your application. Example number two, going to our LinkedIn. Create a compelling LinkedIn About section, highlighting transferable skills after a career break. So LinkedIn's very intuitive, and setting up setting up a LinkedIn profile is pretty easy. I'm assuming and hoping that all of you here have LinkedIn profiles set up. But not everybody has that about section, because it's not one of the sections that's a core section. You have to actually physically add an about section. And I think the about section is critical for your LinkedIn profile, because what it does is let someone really hear your voice. I like the about section to be in first person. I am a career coach specializing in helping people in transition. So it resume is so third person oriented. LinkedIn allows you to be more of a three-dimensional human rather than a resume piece of paper. So your about section can really talk about your career, your career break, and what you did during that break, and how you thought about having this break, and what skills you gained, and what you're looking to do next, and how you can do it. What some of the accomplishments that you've had that you know you're confident would make you a good fit for XYZ role. So I think that your about section is really important, and AI can be a great partner in helping you write that once you have drafted it yourself. Example three, interview prep. This is fabulous, and I actually had a young female client who created the most incredible Google Doc for all of her. She was interviewing for like four jobs at once in tech sales, and she did interview prep for each of those jobs, generating interview questions that she thought they would ask her, and having and giving and putting those into Chat GPT, and based on her resume and her experience, sending back what Chat thought would be good answers to those questions. And this was a very successful way of doing interview prep for her. And she ended up, I mean, getting three out of the four job offers. She was the most well prepared based upon the research, how she utilized ChatGPT to research those organizations and get her interview questions. And she just nailed it on all cylinders. So I have seen this really work, and I highly recommend it. Okay, so now we're going to move on to networking. So, as I said at the beginning, networking, there's nothing more important than networking. I always say to clients, I'd rather you apply to 3 jobs through your network than 30 jobs randomly through LinkedIn. You have a much better shot of getting an interview through someone in your network. So, what is your network? And a lot of people will say, like, oh, I don't even know if I have a network anymore. I haven't done this in so long. Well, here you are on a Zoom with Tulane alumni. And so it's a great reminder. Reconnect with alumni who is in your graduating class, any professors who you worked with who you liked. Um, and this is super easy to do through LinkedIn. You can go right onto LinkedIn, put in Tulane University, pull up their page, click on alumni, and you can see which Tulane alumni work in which company. So you can put in a company name, and they will tell you which Tulane alumni work at that company via LinkedIn. So it's a great, great tool and an easy way to connect with alumni. LinkedIn, again, you can't beat LinkedIn for networking. I want you to all remember that everybody is on LinkedIn to network. Really easy to reach out to people on LinkedIn. Hi, it's Pamela. I am also a Tulane alum. I see that you're working at NVIDIA. I'm really interested in a role in tech sales. Would you have 15 minutes to chat with me? And what does that do? So tells the person who you are and why you wanted to speak with them. You're both Tulane alums, exactly what it is you want to do, and you are not asking them for a job. And that's really important, because if you're asking them for a job, that's a yes or no question. Like, hey, are you hiring? No. Case closed. Instead, I like people to say, would you be open to a 15-minute call? I'd love to set up a 15-minute call to chat with you. That's not binary. You can have, they can set a call with you. You're not putting pressure on them for a job. This is a conversation. So I really like that approach rather than asking someone for a job, which can be off-putting. Attend industry events. So, attending an event like this with Tulane Professional Development is wonderful. Every industry has industry events that are also great for professional development. For instance, if you are in human resources, there's SHRM, is Society of Human Resources Managers, marketing, finance. Every industry has events that are national events and more local events. So, and these are easy to find by a basic Google search. Um, to see what events and what professional associations are in your industry. Great to attend in person if you can, but also attending a Zoom event is great. And what that does, besides just meeting other people, is it often does provide you with great information. I do that a lot with myself with career coaching. I attend a lot of industry events because I want to learn, continue to get more skills. And it's great for me to meet colleagues who are in my field. So I highly recommend it. And conducting informational interviews, such a great way to really learn, especially for those who are potentially pivoting to a new career. Having informational interviews really gives you such a, well, can help you so much to learn more about other types, other jobs, what people do in those jobs, and whether or not you really think, it is a good fit for you. So informational interviews are very key. And then you're getting people who are also, you're adding to your network, which will only help you later for job search. So to just dig further a little bit into the Tulane network, Nina and I chatted, before the webinar, and I know Nina has some great resources for you all on how to leverage the Tulane network. There are many, many ways to do so. So Nina, I know, is going to put some in the chat for you all, and also I think once the presentation is done, she's going to send out an email to everyone so that you all have these wonderful ways to connect with one another and with other people in the Tulane network who are in the fields that you're interested in to really help leverage that network. Okay, so we chatted about, interviewing with confidence at the beginning, and I talked about how lack of confidence is really one of the biggest challenges for those who are getting back into the workplace after a career break or those who have been laid off or out of work for a while. So, as I said, you want to address the gaps briefly. Yes, I took 6 months off, and I'm really looking forward to utilizing my skills in X, Y, and Z. Or, while I've been looking for a new role in marketing, I have been taking classes and just received a certification in Google Analytics that I know will be very helpful for this type of a role. So say it, one sentence, focus on what value you bring. You want to share your accomplishments. I always say to people, what are the 3 things that are most important for a potential employer to know about you that will help them see you in that seat? Make it easy for them to see you in the seat. And so that really just takes, like, go through your resume, go through the job description. Where do things match up best? And that's your point of, okay, so this matches, this matches, this matches. Those are the 3 things I'm going to focus on in my interview, so that they understand that I can do this job because it's something that I have done before. And demonstrate your adaptability. While I haven't done this specifically, well, I don't know this specific uh, computer program. Well, I don't know this specific project management software. I have used this project management software, so I'm confident that I won't have a big learning curve. Make it easy for someone to see that you are ready, willing, and able to learn new skills and adapt to new situations. So let's talk about your 90-day career reentry plan. Hopefully, after you're hearing me speak today, you have some ideas of what you're going to do as far as next steps. So first thing is a brand refresh. And that would be updating your resume, your LinkedIn profile, any portfolio if that's appropriate, a website, or any social media. It's always good to relook at that stuff. You know, what can you do to update your LinkedIn? What can you do to update Instagram if it's something that you use for your personal brand? Um, Maybe you have a personal website that needs some care and feeding. I work with some clients who are artists or architects, and they do often have portfolios, and they may have bios on there that just don't reflect who they are anymore or what work they're currently doing. So great to just look at all that stuff and make sure that it reflects who you are today. Networking, nothing more important. Once you have all of your brand refresh done and you have like a new LinkedIn for someone to look at, great time to do your networking, to do those reach outs to people who you know, who you've maybe worked with before, former colleagues, former bosses, former peers. And also don't forget to network with people who worked for you, who are maybe, someone who is lower than you on a totem pole. They're in a different place now also. So don't overlook people who, maybe reported to you as people who should also be in your network, former classmates, friends of friends. Um, a lot of networking, believe it or not, is can be done on a soccer field when you're watching your kids play soccer. Hey, I'm looking for a role in marketing. I know that your wife works at XYZ marketing firm. Do you think she'd be willing to chat with me about her experience? So don't overlook people who are in your personal network as well. Um, Applications and interviews. As I said, apply early. I can't stress that enough. You can set up job alerts on LinkedIn, on Indeed, so that you are getting alerts right in your mailbox every day so you can be early on sending in those job applications. Um, and I always say when you see a job posted, make sure that simultaneously you are applying for that job and you are also looking at your network, looking at the two lane network to see who you might know who works at that company. So you want to do like a, double barrel approach. Apply and then let the person who works at the company know that you are applying. This also works for high, sometimes some of you may have LinkedIn Premium. Um, you can see who the hiring manager is. I also highly recommend writing to the hiring manager through LinkedIn, letting them know a little bit about you and that you're applying for that role. Chances are they won't answer, but they will see it. I know this because I've gone to so many workshops and webinars in my role as a career coach to learn about what hiring managers really want. And they always they appreciate someone who's gone the extra mile to find them. Even if they don't respond, they'll see it. So I think that's a good tip. So finally, then I'm gonna leave time for questions. I would love to be your accountability partner. A big part of my coaching with clients is being an accountability partner. Really hard to look for jobs on your own. So I would love to partner with you and learn what is one action you're going to take this week to move your job search forward. Great. So I love this. This is wonderful. I love that, leading the pack is networking, which is wonderful because as I said, there's nothing more important than networking, and that is really going to be, I strongly believe, the ticket to your next role. Um, Here are some resources that I recommend, for AI, Chat GPT, which I use all the time in my business, professional life and my personal life. LinkedIn has some great AI features to help you write that about section. Grammarly, wonderful for your cover letters, and Canva for anyone who's doing anything in design. For me, for my Instagram, It's a game changer. So, oops, some of your key takeaways, I hope, are your experience has value. Your story really matters. Know your personal brand, know how to talk about yourself. Use AI as a tool, but it's not a replacement for your own writing and your own thinking. Double check everything because they can be wrong. And your action creates momentum. So I was so happy that each of you have an action that you're planning to take this week. And I'm hopeful that you can build upon that one action to continue to create that momentum until you land the job that you want. So I'm happy to, here's my contact info. I'm happy to connect with any of you. Please connect with me on LinkedIn. And as a good practice, connect with me with a note. I don't believe in LinkedIn connections without a note. You want people to understand why you want to connect with them. So, like an example of a note to me would be, "Hi Pamela, I enjoyed, if you did, I enjoyed hearing you at your the webinar today with Tulane PDS. I'd love to be in your network." And that's, anything like that is wonderful. And I'm happy to take any questions now. And if you have additional questions, you can always reach out to me via my website as well.
Yeah, thank you so much, Pamela. This was so helpful.
Oh,
Um,
so
I
glad.
got I got a question sent directly to me, and there was also one in the chat, so I can read those off to you to kind of
Sure.
start us off.
Okay,
Um,
great.
can you give another example for framing a termination or a layoff? I think
Yes.
this is back for when we were talking about the writing a sentence of,
Yes.
how to frame that.
This is what I like to do in for a layoff when I have clients talk about it. And unfortunately, I've had this a lot. I like to say something like this. And they say, "Why'd you leave your last job?" or "What happened at your last role?" Unfortunately, my position was eliminated as part of a company-wide layoff. And what that does is you're not saying the word I, you're not saying I was laid off, I lost my job, I got fired. You are saying my position was eliminated. That's taking it out of the personal. And, if it is part of a company wide layoff, say that. Obviously, you're not going to lie, but, unfortunately, my position was eliminated, period. I think is a good way to let people know that and move on from there.
Awesome. Okay, cool. And then the next question I have is, how should I address my career break before I get to the interview? Should I include my sentence addressing my career break in my cover letter? I'm worried I won't even get to the interview part after my break. Should I message them on LinkedIn beforehand?
I say no. I say you don't need to address your career break beforehand because if you're getting an interview, they are obviously interested enough in your other experience. Don't tell someone something that they don't have to know. Get in the door, and then if asked, you'll have your one sentence. But the most important thing is get in the door and get hired for the experience you have, not the gap you have.
Okay, awesome. Another question that we have is how would you frame a stay-at-home mom? So going back to work now that the kids are in high school, like it's a larger break than maybe just a,
Right.
layoff of a year.
Yeah, yeah. I definitely in my practice have worked with a lot of stay-at-home moms. That was how I started my business, working with moms who took a career break and are going back to the workplace. So I think, it's interesting because on a job interview, it's illegal for them to ask you about, are you married or do you have children? So you don't really have to spend a lot of time talking about it because they can't ask you again. Like I always like, I'm like, why are you going to tell them something that they can't legally even ask you? But of course, you want to address it. So after taking off some time to raise my family, I'm ready to go back to the workplace and utilize my skills in X, Y, and Z. Or I'm looking for a role where I can utilize my skills in X, Y, and Z. short, sweet, and out. And I've worked with a lot of it is mostly moms who stayed home, but have done amazing things volunteering for their kids' schools or churches or communities. So they really do have wonderful experience to talk about, whether it's fundraising, organization, you know, community, running community events. There are a lot of great experiences that are unpaid experiences that count towards experience that you would need for a job. So don't
Awesome.
discount
Yeah.
that. Don't discount those, parent association roles that you may have had.
Cool. We also have, should my cover letter be in the present or past tense when describing my last role?
If you're not currently at that role, then past tense. If you're currently at that role, then present tense.
Okay, amazing.
Same with resume.
Awesome. And then I have somebody messaging that says that they've been out of work for 2.5 years, and the first year they took advantage to finish their doctorate, but since they've had no luck with alums or LinkedIn, do you have any suggestions for them?
Have they gone back to their, I mean, I don't know where they got their doctorate, if it was Tulane or other, but
Hmm.
I always recommend my clients go back to their university career services center because I know that they offer a lot of resources. So I think that that's a great place to go if she or he hasn't done that already, and also to network with some of their professors with whom they've worked because perhaps they have some suggestions for them as well.
Awesome. Yeah. And I've linked that and I will be in everybody's inbox with a bunch of just different links and resources and stuff so that people can access them after this. But Pamela, this was so helpful. Thank you so much for leading such an informative session. And everybody, I'll be in all of your inboxes. But Pamela, do you have anything that you want to say to just kind of close us out?
I'm, so happy you all are here, and I hope that you are walking away with some actionable steps to get your search, move your search forward. As I said, I'm available. I'm a career coach based in New York. I see, private clients here. If anyone's interested in working one-on-one with me, please reach out, and feel free to connect with me on all socials and reach out with any questions. I'm happy to, I'm always happy to have like a 15-minute call with anyone to give them a couple of tips or, tips and tricks or answer any questions they may have throughout the process.
Amazing. Pamela, I'm sorry we got one more question that came in
Yeah.
like right as I was closing. What is your suggestion for ageism? It is not legal. I've been told it's a huge barrier.
100% right. It is not legal and it is a huge barrier.
Yeah.
No question about it. It stinks, but it's true. Um, I try to have clients de-age their resume as much as possible. Like I wouldn't put jobs on there going back to like 1980 or 19 or the 1990s even. I wouldn't start back that far. Take off your graduation year. Don't say in your professional summary, I have 30 plus years of experience. I would try to just minimize the amount of age that you're putting on your resume and LinkedIn.
Awesome. Okay, cool. Well, thank you so much for everything. And everybody, again, thank you for being here. And I hope everybody has a great rest of their day. And yeah, thank you so much, Pamela.
Thank you. Thank you all so much and good luck.
All right. Bye,
Okay.
all.
Bye bye.